The Colorado sun hung bright over Pine Valley Elementary, its rays glinting off the school's colorful murals as the buzz of Career Day filled the air. Kids darted between classrooms, clutching firefighter hats and plastic stethoscopes, their laughter echoing down the halls. Emma Carter, 8 years old, sat in her third-grade classroom, her blonde hair tucked into a green hoodie, her red backpack at her feet. She doodled a dog on her notebook, waiting for the next presenter. Sarah Carter, her mom, stood at the back, her blonde hair in a messy bun, her bank teller's blazer creased from a rushed drive. Shadow, a black German shepherd and retired K9, lay by the door, his scarred black muzzle still, his brown eyes scanning the room. At 9, he was a legend in Pine Valley's safety program led by Officer Jake Nolan, whose steady presence calmed even the rowdiest kids. But today, the air felt off, and Shadow's ears flicked, sensing something wrong. "All right, kids, let's welcome our next guest, Ms." Emily Reed, the new third-grade teacher, clapped her hands, her red cardigan bright, her glasses catching the light. Her smile was warm, her classroom a cozy haven of star cutouts and Be Kind posters. "Officer Nolan and Shadow are here to talk about K9 heroes." Emma perked up, her doodle forgotten, but Shadow didn't move. He stared at Emily, his body tense, a low growl rumbling. Jake, 42, his dark hair cropped, his police jacket unbuttoned, tugged Shadow's leash gently. "Easy, boy," he said, frowning. Shadow's growls were rare, reserved for real threats. The kids giggled, thinking it was part of the show, but Emma's brow furrowed, her fingers tightening on her pencil. Sarah stepped closer, her voice low. "Jake, what's wrong with him?" Jake shook his head, his gut twisting. "Not sure, Sarah. He's never like this." Emily laughed, her voice sweet but strained. "Maybe he smells my lunch, just a granola bar, I swear." She backed toward her desk, but Shadow lunged, barking sharp and relentless, his teeth bared, eyes locked on her. The room stilled, a boy gasping, a girl clutching her friend. "Shadow, down!" Jake ordered, pulling harder, but the German shepherd strained forward, his growl feral. Sarah's heart raced, her voice trembling. "Emma, stay back!" Emma froze, her eyes darting to Emily, then Shadow, her small voice shaky. "Why's he mad at Ms. Reed?" Jake crouched, his voice firm but calm. "Miss Reed, step outside, please, now." Emily's smile faltered, her hands rising. "This is silly." "He's just confused, right?" But Shadow's bark grew louder, his body between her and the kids, blocking her path. Jake's hand hovered near his radio, his voice sharp. "Ma'am, I said move." The kids were silent, some tearing up, the air thick with tension. Sarah pulled Emma close, her whisper fierce. "It's okay, baby. Shadow knows something." Emily edged toward the door, her laugh nervous. "Fine, fine. Let's not scare the kids." But Shadow surged, pawing at her desk, his nose frantic. Jake followed, yanking open a drawer, his breath catching, a small vial, unmarked, and a cloth strip, faintly sweet, tucked under papers. The room spun, Sarah's gasp loud. "What is that?" she demanded, clutching Emma, whose eyes widened, whispering, "That's not for school." The twist hit like a freight train. Emma's small voice cut through, trembling but sure. "She told me to keep something in my backpack, said it was a secret." Sarah's blood ran cold, her voice a scream. "You told my daughter what?" Emily's face drained, her hands shaking. I didn't." Shadow's snarl silenced her, his body coiled, guarding Emma. Jake radioed for backup, his voice low. "We've got a situation. Lock it down." Claire rushed to Emma, tears streaming, her voice breaking. "You're safe, baby. I'm here." Shadow pressed against them, his whine a vow, his instincts a spotlight on a truth no one saw coming. The classroom, once a haven, was now a crime scene, and Emily's smile hid a chilling secret. Backup sirens wailed outside, but Sarah knew. Shadow's bark had cracked open a nightmare, and their fight was just beginning. The Colorado dusk settled over Pine Valley, the small town's streets quiet after the chaos of career day at Pine Valley Elementary. Sarah Carter sat in her cozy living room, her blonde hair loose, her bank teller's blazer swapped for a worn sweater. Her hands trembled, clutching a lukewarm mug of chamomile tea. The image of her 8-year-old daughter, Emma, nearly entangled in a predator's web, searing her mind. Emma curled up on the couch, her blonde pigtails messy, her green hoodie zipped tight, her red backpack tucked beside her. She sketched a picture of Shadow, the black German shepherd who'd saved her, her pencil moving slowly. Shadow lay by the door, his scarred black muzzle still, his brown eyes watchful, guarding the girl he'd protected. The vial and chloroform-soaked cloth found in Ms. Emily Reed's desk, items Emma had been told to hide, sat heavy on Sarah's heart alongside the teacher's panicked denial. Officer Jake Nolan had promised answers, but the silence was suffocating. "Emma, honey, you feeling okay?" Sarah asked, her voice soft but strained, setting the mug down. Emma's pencil paused, her small voice steady but quiet. "Shadow knew, Mom. He knew, Ms. Reed was bad." She hugged her sketch, tears brimming. Sarah slid closer, brushing a pigtail back, her throat tight. "You were so brave, baby." "I'm so sorry I didn't see it." Emma's arms wrapped around her, her voice a whisper. "You're here now, and Shadow's my hero." Shadow's ears flicked, his whine soft, sensing Sarah's fear. The dog's relentless barking at Emily, his lunge at her desk had stopped a monster, but Sarah's gut screamed. This wasn't over. Her phone sat silent, no usual check-ins from Emma's school, a lapse that gnawed at her. A sharp knock at the door jolted her. Shadow rose, growling low, his hackles up. Sarah's pulse spiked, but Emma's hand on his fur calmed him. "It's okay, Shadow," she said, her trust unwavering. Jake Nolan stood outside, his dark hair damp from the evening chill, his police jacket unbuttoned, a folder in hand. At 42, his steady grit was tempered by warmth, but his face was grim. "Sarah, we need to talk," he said, stepping inside, Shadow settling but alert. Emma hugged her sketch tighter, her voice small. "Is Ms. Reed gone?" Jake knelt, his smile gentle. "She's locked up, Emma. You and Shadow made sure she can't hurt anyone." Emma nodded, but Sarah's voice trembled. "Jake, what was she planning?" "Why, Emma?" Jake opened the folder, revealing a grainy CCTV still, Emily at a gas station, time-stamped days before, handing a phone to a man in a dark cap. "Her name's not Emily Reed, it's Natalie Brooks, with a rap sheet for fraud in Nevada. That vial, the cloth, they're tools for abductions." Sarah's hand covered her mouth, her voice breaking. "She was after my daughter? For weeks?" Shadow's whine echoed her pain, his nose nudging Emma, who clutched him. Jake's voice was steady but urgent. Shadow caught something else, a tracker in her desk wired to a burner. She was reporting to someone. Sarah's blood ran cold, her voice a whisper. "Someone else." "She wasn't alone?" Emma's eyes widened, her sketch slipping. "Mom, is Shadow staying with us?" Sarah hugged her, her voice fierce. "He's not going anywhere, baby. He's ours now." But her eyes met Jake's, dread surging. Jake's radio crackled. Detective Lisa Harper, his FBI contact. Her voice clipped. "Jake, Natalie's prints match a sealed case. Child trafficking, Oregon, 2012. She's tied to a network, codenamed Spectre. The twist landed like a sledgehammer. Sarah's phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. Keep Emma close. Her breath caught, her hands shaking as she showed Jake, who grabbed it, his voice sharp. This isn't a prank. Spectre's watching and they know we're onto them. Shadow's growl deepened, his body tensing, nose pointed at the window. Sarah pulled Emma close, her voice trembling. They're coming for her, aren't they? Jake stood, his hand on his pistol, peering through the blinds. A black pickup idled across the street, its lights off, too still. Stay here, he said, radioing Lisa. Lisa, black pickup, no plates, outside Carter's house. Shadow's bark was sharp, his hackles raised, guarding Emma, who clung to her mother, whispering, Shadow will stop them, right? Sarah's tears fell, her voice fierce. He will, honey. He's our protector. The pickup's engine roared, tires screeching as it sped off, Lisa's cruiser pulling up moments later. Lisa, 38, her dark hair in a ponytail, her FBI jacket creased, stepped out, her voice grim. They're gone, but that was no coincidence. Specters circling. She took the phone, her eyes on Sarah. We're moving you to a safe house, Sarah. Emma's a target, and Shadow's our best shot at keeping her safe. Sarah's heart raced, her voice breaking. Why us? She's just a kid. Emma hugged Shadow, her voice small but firm. Shadow knew, Mom. He'll know again. Jake knelt, his voice steady. He's a legend, Emma, and you're his partner. We're catching Spectre, but you've got to trust us. Shadow's whine was a vow, his eyes locked on Emma, his instincts a shield. Sarah nodded, clutching her daughter, the tracker's red blink a chilling reminder. Natalie was just the start, and Spectre's shadow was closing in. The safe house beckoned, but Sarah knew Shadow's bark had ignited a manhunt, and their fight for justice was only beginning. The Colorado night was a heavy curtain. The safe house, a weathered cabin nestled in a pine grove outside Pine Valley, bathed in the dim glow of a single porch light. Sarah Carter sat on a creaky couch, her blonde hair loose, her sweater clinging to her sweat-damp skin, the weight of the day's terror pressing down. Her hands clutched a photo of Emma, her 8-year-old daughter, whose green hoodie and red backpack haunted her every thought. Emma slept in the next room, her blonde pigtails splayed across a pillow, her stuffed bunny tucked under her arm, her soft breaths a fragile comfort. Shadow, the black German shepherd, lay at the bedroom door, his scarred black muzzle still, his brown eyes scanning the shadows. His relentless barking at Ms. Emily Reed, revealed as Natalie Brooks, a predator in a child trafficking network, had saved Emma, but the tracker in her desk and Sarah's threatening text, "Keep Emma close," proved a mastermind. Spectre was watching. Officer Jake Nolan, 42, his dark hair mussed, his police jacket unbuttoned, stood by the window, radio crackling. Detective Lisa Harper, 38, her dark hair in a tight ponytail, her FBI jacket creased, pored over case files, the vial and chloroform cloth from Emily's desk fueling the manhunt. The silence was a vice, squeezing tighter with each passing minute. "Sarah, try to rest," Jake said, his voice low but strained, glancing at her. "Shadow's got this place on lockdown." Sarah's eyes flicked to the German shepherd, his ears twitching, but her voice trembled. "Rest? Jake, that woman was grooming my daughter and someone's still out there." "How do I close my eyes?" Emma's words. She told me it was a secret, cut like a blade, her bravery a wound in Sarah's heart. As a bank teller, she'd seen scams, but nothing like this. Shadow's growl was a sudden rumble slicing the quiet, his body tensing toward the door. Jake's hand snapped to his pistol, his voice sharp. "Stay back." Sarah's pulse roared, her feet hitting the floor, grabbing a fireplace poker. Emma, she whispered, rushing to the bedroom, Shadow's bark sharp, urgent as he followed. Emma stirred, her small voice sleepy. Mom, is Shadow okay? Sarah hugged her, tears spilling. He's keeping us safe, honey. Stay quiet. The door creaked open, Deputy Tom Brady stepping in, his sandy hair wet, his badge glinting. Jake, we've got trouble, he said, holding a grainy photo, a black pickup, no plates, parked near the school days before Natalie's arrest. Same truck was spotted a mile from here circling, Spectre's not backing off. Shadow's growl deepened, his nose pointed at Tom's folder, where a small, blinking device, a second tracker, slipped from the pages, its green light pulsing. Sarah's breath caught, her voice a sob. They followed us here? How? Jake smashed the device, his face grim. Natalie wasn't solo. This is military grade, like the one in her desk. Spectre's got insiders. He radioed Lisa, his voice urgent. Lisa, sweep the perimeter. We're compromised. Emma clung to Sarah, her voice trembling. Shadow will stop them, right, Mom? The German shepherd pressed against her, his whine a vow, his loyalty fierce. Sarah's heart ached, her voice raw. He will, Emma. He's our guardian. Lisa's voice crackled through the radio, tense. Jake, I'm 3 minutes out. Natalie's burner phone pinged a contact, codename Spectre, tied to a trafficking ring in Colorado 2015. They're escalating. Sarah's eyes widened, her voice breaking. A ring? They're after more kids? Emma's small hand gripped Shadow's fur, her voice a whisper. Like Lily? Lisa had mentioned Lily, a missing girl from Boulder, linked to Natalie's network. Jake knelt, his voice soft but firm. You're safe, Emma. Shadow and I won't let anything happen. But Shadow's bark erupted, sharp, his body lunging at the window as headlights pierced the fog. 2 black pickups, no plates, screeching to a stop outside. They're here! Jake yelled, shoving Sarah and Emma behind the couch, pistol raised. Shadow's snarl was thunderous, his hackles up, guarding the door. The truck's doors flew open, 4 men in dark gear spilling out, one wielding a taser, another a crowbar. The girl! The leader shouted, smashing the door. Sarah's scream caught, clutching Emma, her poker trembling. Stay down, honey. Emma's tears fell, her voice fierce. Shadow, get him! The German shepherd charged, tackling the leader, his jaws disarming the taser with precision, pinning him to the floor. Jake fired a warning shot, the second man diving for cover, but Tom burst in, cuffing a third, his voice lethal. You're done! The twist landed like a bomb. The leader, bloodied but defiant, laughed, his voice cold. Spectre's not just a name cop. He's untouchable, runs half the state's dirty deals. Sarah's blood froze, her voice a whisper. Half the state? Who is he? Shadow's growl turned feral, his nose sniffing the leader's jacket, pawing at a hidden pocket. Jake yanked out a burner phone, buzzing with a new text. Take Carter girl. Burn the rest. Emma sobbed, clinging to Sarah, who roared, You'll never touch her! Tom bagged the phone, his face grim. This is bigger than Natalie. Spectre's got people everywhere, maybe even local. Lisa's cruiser screeched up, the detective storming in, her eyes blazing. Jake, we've got a hit. Spectre's linked to a warehouse in Denver, a drop point for kids. We move now, we catch him. She glanced at Shadow, respect shining. That dog's why we're still in this. Sarah's tears streamed, her voice fierce. I'm coming, Lisa. For Emma, for Lily. Emma hugged Shadow, her small voice steady. You'll find the bad guys, won't you, Shadow? The German shepherd's eyes met hers, fierce and unwavering, a promise to protect. Jake nodded, his pistol ready. We're ending this, Sarah. Shadow's our guide. The warehouse loomed, Spectre's secrets waiting, and Sarah knew. Shadow's instincts had sparked a war, and their fight for justice was a race against time. The Colorado night was a cold black shroud. The Denver warehouse district a maze of rusted silos and shadowed alleys under a starless sky. Sarah Carter crouched behind a stack of pallets, her blonde hair damp with sweat, her sweater torn from the frantic drive from the safe house. Her heart pounded, Emma's green hoodie and red backpack flashing in her mind, the 8-year-old safe with deputies in a new safe house. But Sarah's fear for her daughter and Lily, a missing Boulder girl, drove her forward. Shadow, the black German shepherd, pressed against her, his scarred black muzzle low, his brown eyes cutting through the dark. The retired K-9's barking had exposed Natalie Brooks, the fake teacher, Emily Reed, as part of a child trafficking network, but the safe house ambush and a burner phone text, "Take Carter girl, burn the rest," revealed Spectre, a mastermind, was closing in. Officer Jake Nolan, 42, his dark hair mussed, his police jacket creased, gripped his pistol, his breath visible in the chill. Detective Lisa Harper, 38, her dark hair in a tight ponytail, her FBI jacket zipped, scanned the warehouse with a flashlight, the vial and chloroform cloth from Natalie's desk fueling their mission. The warehouse, Spectre's drop point, loomed, its flickering lights a pulse of danger. "Loading bay, west side," Lisa whispered, her voice taut, pointing to a half-open door. "Guards, 4, armed. We get the evidence, we get Spectre." Sarah's hands shook, clutching a crowbar, her bank teller's instincts screaming to flee, but her voice was fierce. "If Lily's in there, we're bringing her home." Shadow's whine was soft, his nose nudging her hand, his loyalty a lifeline after Natalie's chilling scheme at the school. Jake's eyes met Sarah's, his voice steady but urgent. "Shadow's our lead." "He'll sniff out traps. You ready?" Sarah nodded, her throat tight. Emma's words. She told me to keep something, echoing. For Emma, I'm ready. Lisa's flashlight caught a guard shadow, radio buzzing. "They're prepping a shipment," she said, her face grim. "Kids are records. We hit now." Shadow's growl was low, his hackles up, leading them through the alley, his nose sniffing for threats. The bay door creaked, revealing a cavernous interior, crates, tarps, and a faint sob from a locked room. Sarah's pulse spiked, her voice a whisper. "Lily?" Shadow's bark was sharp, his body tensing at a steel door marked storage. Jake pried it open, the sight inside gutting, a small cage, a girl, 7, brunette, curled up with a stuffed rabbit, her backpack beside her. "Lily!" Sarah gasped, rushing forward, Shadow guarding her, his whine desperate. Lily stirred, her voice weak. "Please, help!" Lisa's pistol covered the door, her voice fierce. "We've got you, Lily. Hang on." Jake grabbed a crate's lid, revealing files, burner phones, and sedatives, Spectre's toolkit. "This nails him," he said, bagging a phone, but Shadow's growl turned feral, his nose pawing a tarp-covered crate. Sarah yanked it back, her breath catching, a USB drive and a photo of Emma, time-stamped yesterday, outside her school. "They're still after her," she screamed, tears streaming, clutching Lily. Headlights roared outside, 3 black pickups screeching into the bay, Spectre's men spilling out, 6, rifles raised, their leader shouting, "The girl, the files, now!" Sarah dove behind a crate, shielding Lily, Shadow charging, tackling the leader, his jaws disarming a rifle, pinning him to the concrete. Jake fired, dropping a second man, his shots precise, but the others advanced, bullets shattering crates. Lisa's leg bled from a graze, but she tackled a third, zip-tying him, her voice raw. "Sarah, get Lily out!" Sarah's rage erupted, her voice a roar. "You're not taking her!" She swung her crowbar, cracking a guard's arm, Shadow's snarl shielding Lily, who clung to her, whispering, "Is Emma safe?" Sarah's heart broke, Emma's trust in Shadow, her anchor. "She's okay, sweetie," she choked, tears falling. Jake's radio crackled, FBI backup, 6 minutes out, too slow. The leader, bloodied, laughed, his voice cold. Spectre's untouchable. You're dead. The twist landed like a thunderbolt. A radio in the leader's pocket buzzed. A man's voice, sharp. Finish them, or I burn the network. Spectre, not distant, but close, orchestrating from the shadows. Sarah's blood froze, her voice trembling. He's here? Shadow's bark spiked, his nose at a crate, pawing frantically. Lisa ripped it open, revealing a live feed. Not just Emma's safe house, but a dozen kids, caged in a nearby warehouse. They're moving them now, Lisa gasped, her voice raw, clutching the USB. Jake's pistol snapped up, his voice fierce. We're pinned. More guards flooded in, 8 tasers and crowbars surrounding them. Shadow lunged, disarming a taser, protecting Lily, while Lisa's shots bought seconds, grazing a guard. Sarah's arm stung, but she shielded Lily, her voice desperate. Emma's safe, right? Tell me she's safe. Jake's eyes met hers, fear flashing, but his voice was steel. She's got deputies, Sarah. We fight. We save her. A guard aimed at Shadow, his voice cold. Kill the mutt! Sarah threw a crate lid, knocking the rifle free, her rage a mother's fire. You'll never touch him! Shadow spun, pinning the man, his jaws fierce but controlled. Lisa tackled another, but the radio buzzed again. Spectre's voice, Skywalker chilling. You've lost, Carter. Emma's next. Sarah's scream was primal. Emma's face her only anchor. Sirens wailed, FBI cruisers storming the warehouse, floodlights cutting the fog. Jake cuffed the leader, his voice grim. You're done. Sarah clung to Lily. Shadow's whine a vow beside her, his bloodied muzzle a badge of courage. Lisa grabbed the files, her face set. This names Spectre's clients, cartel, maybe political. We've got him. But Sarah's tears fell, her voice a sob. Emma's in danger, Jake. We have to go now. Shadow's eyes met hers, fierce, ready, a promise to protect. Jake's hand gripped her shoulder, his voice fierce. We'll save her, Sarah. Shadow's with us. The warehouse was secure, Lily safe, but Spectre's shadow loomed, Emma's life on the line. Sarah's fight, for her daughter, for justice, was a race against a predator, and Shadow's instincts were their only hope. The Colorado dawn was a raw gray veil. The Denver warehouse district, a sprawl of crumbling concrete and rusted steel under a sky heavy with clouds. Sarah Carter gripped a flashlight, her blonde hair matted with sweat, her sweater bloodied from a graze on her arm, sustained during the frantic escape from the last warehouse raid. Her heart thundered, Emma's green hoodie and red backpack vivid in her mind, the 8-year-old safe in a fortified safe house with deputies. But Sarah's fear for her daughter and Lily, now rescued, drove her forward. Shadow, the black German shepherd, moved silently beside her, his scarred black muzzle low, his brown eyes piercing the gloom. The retired canine's instincts had exposed Natalie Brooks, the fake teacher Emily Reed, and saved Lily from a trafficking network. But the live feed of caged children and Spectre's chilling radio threat, Emma's next, proved the mastermind was escalating. Officer Jake Nolan, 42, his dark hair damp, his police jacket torn, clutched his pistol, his breath sharp in the cold. Detective Lisa Harper, 38, her dark hair in a tight ponytail, her FBI jacket stained, carried the stolen USB and files, evidence of Spectre's global operation. The warehouse, a hub for Spectre's next shipment, loomed, its flickering neon a beacon of dread. South entrance now, Lisa whispered, her voice taut, pointing to a rusted gate. Guards, 5, heavy gear. We get the kids, we get Spectre. Sarah's hands shook, her flashlight beam jittery, her bank teller's instincts overwhelmed, but her voice was fierce. Those kids are someone's, Emma. We're not leaving them. Shadow's whine was urgent, his nose nudging her hand, his loyalty a lifeline after Natalie's sinister plot at the school. Jake's eyes locked on Sarah, his voice steady but urgent. Shadow's our guide. He'll sniff out danger. You holding up? Sarah nodded, her throat tight. Emma's confession. She told me to keep something, fueling her resolve. For Emma, I'm in. Lisa's flashlight caught a guard's silhouette, radio buzzing. They're loading a truck, she said, her face grim, her grazed leg stiff but steady. Kids or evidence? We hit fast. Shadow's growl was low, his hackles up, leading them through the shadows, his nose sniffing for threats. The gate was ajar, revealing a vast interior, crates, forklifts, and a faint cry from a locked bay. Sarah's pulse spiked, her voice a whisper. Kids? Shadow's bark was sharp, his body tensing at a steel door marked freight. Jake jimmied the lock, the sight inside gut-wrenching. 3 children, 6 to 9, huddled in a cage, their backpacks scattered, eyes wide with fear. We're here, Sarah gasped, rushing forward, Shadow guarding her, his whine desperate. A boy, 8, dark-haired, whimpered, Are you real? Lisa's pistol covered the door, her voice fierce. You're safe, kids. We're getting you out. Jake pried open a crate, revealing burner phones, sedatives, and a ledger listing drop points. Asia, Europe. This buries Spectre, he said, bagging a phone, but Shadow's growl turned rabid, his nose pawing a hidden panel. Sarah yanked it open, her breath catching, a microchip and a live feed of Emma's safe house, her red backpack visible on a table. They're watching her, she screamed, tears streaming, clutching the boy. Headlights roared outside, 4 black pickups screeching into the bay, Spectre's men spilling out. 8, rifles and tasers, their leader shouting, The kids! The files, now! Sarah dove behind a forklift, shielding the children, Shadow charging, tackling the leader, his jaws disarming a rifle, pinning him to the concrete. Jake fired, grazing a second man, his shots precise, but the others advanced, bullets shattering crates. Lisa's leg bled, but she tackled a third, zip-tying him, her voice raw. Sarah, get the kids to the exit. Sarah's rage erupted, her voice a roar. You're not touching them. She swung her flashlight, cracking a guard's wrist, Shadow's snarl shielding the children who clung to her, the boy whispering, Is Emma your kid? Sarah's heart shattered, Emma's trust in Shadow her anchor. She's my everything, she choked, tears falling. Jake's radio crackled. FBI backup, 7 minutes out, too slow. The leader, bloodied, laughed, his voice cold. Spectre owns this city. You're done. The twist landed like a sledgehammer. A radio buzzed, a woman's voice, sharp, commanding. Finish them, or I take over. Not Spectre, but a partner, orchestrating from nearby. Sarah's blood froze, her voice trembling. A woman? Who's with him? Shadow's bark spiked, his nose at a crate, pawing frantically. Lisa ripped it open, revealing a laptop streaming live. Not just Emma, but Lily back in custody, tied up in another warehouse. They grabbed her again, Lisa gasped, her voice breaking, clutching the microchip. Jake's pistol snapped up, his voice fierce. We're surrounded! More guards flooded in, 10 armed with tasers and crowbars pinning them. Shadow lunged, disarming a taser, protecting the children, while Jake's shots bought seconds, grazing a guard. Sarah's arm stung, but she shielded the kids, her voice desperate. Emma's safe, right? Tell me she's safe. Lisa's eyes met hers, fear flashing, but her voice was steel. She's got fed, Sarah. We fight, we save them all. A guard aimed at Shadow, his voice cold. Kill the dog! Sarah threw a crate lid, knocking the rifle free, her rage a mother's fire. You'll never touch him. Shadow spun, pinning the man, his jaws fierce but controlled. Lisa tackled another, but the radio buzzed again, the woman's voice chilling. "You're out of time, Carter. Emma's mine." Sarah's scream was primal, Emma's face her only anchor. Sirens wailed, FBI cruisers storming the warehouse, floodlights cutting the dawn. Jake cuffed the leader, his voice grim. "You're done." Sarah clung to the children, Shadow's whine a vow beside her, his bloodied muzzle a badge of courage. Lisa grabbed the laptop, her face set. "This name's Spectre's partner, cartel ties, maybe political. We're close." But Sarah's tears fell, her voice a sob. "Lily's gone again, Jake. Emma's next. We have to move." Shadow's eyes met hers, fierce, ready, a promise to protect. Jake's hand gripped her shoulder, his voice fierce. "We'll save them, Sarah. Shadow's leading us." The warehouse was secure, the children safe, but Spectre's partner loomed, Lily and Emma in peril. Sarah's fight, for her daughter, for justice, was a race against a new Shadow, and Shadow's instincts were their only guide. The Colorado night was a relentless downpour, the rain hammering the safe house, a nondescript trailer on the outskirts of Pine Valley, turning the gravel lot into a muddy quagmire. Sarah Carter sat on the edge of a sagging couch, her blonde hair plastered to her face, her sweater still bloodied from the warehouse raid where they'd rescued 3 children. Her arms wrapped around Emma, her 8-year-old daughter, whose green hoodie was damp, her blonde pigtails limp, her red backpack clutched tight. Emma's stuffed bunny lay beside her, its fur matted, a silent witness to their fear. Shadow, the black German shepherd, stood guard at the door, his scarred black muzzle tense, his brown eyes piercing the storm. The retired canine's instincts had exposed Natalie Brooks, saved Lily, and uncovered a child trafficking network, but the live feed of Lily, recaptured, and Spectre's partner's chilling radio threat, "Emma's mine," confirmed the danger was closing in. Officer Jake Nolan, 42, his dark hair soaked, his police jacket torn, checked his pistol, his jaw tight. Detective Lisa Harper, 38, her dark hair in a frayed ponytail, her FBI jacket mud-streaked, hunched over the stolen laptop, its files exposing Spectre's global drops. The trailer's thin walls creaked, amplifying the dread. "Emma, you're safe, honey," Sarah whispered, her voice trembling, stroking her daughter's hair. Emma's small hand gripped Shadow's fur, her voice a whisper. "Shadow won't let them get me, right, Mom?" The German shepherd's whine was soft, his nose nudging her, his loyalty a lifeline. Sarah's tears fell, her bank teller's resolve crumbling. "Never, sweetheart. He's our hero." But the feed of Lily, the microchip's list of caged children, and the threat to Emma were a vice, squeezing her heart. Jake knelt, his voice steady but urgent. "Sarah, we've got feds outside, 1 minute out. The laptop's emails name Spectre's partner, Dr. Karen Wells, ex-social worker, tied to your bank's charity fund." Sarah's breath caught, the woman who'd pitched a kids program at her bank last year, too curious about Emma, flashing in her mind. "Karen?" "She asked about Emma's school," she gasped, her voice breaking. "I trusted her, and now this?" Emma's eyes widened, her voice trembling. "She's the bad lady?" Lisa's face was grim, plugging the microchip into the laptop. "Wells vanished after your bank flagged her. She's running kids through fake charities, trafficking, ransom, worse." She pulled up a grainy photo. Wells, 50, red hair, at a Denver dock with Natalie. "We've got a location. An old mill, 2 miles from here. She's moving Lily tonight." Shadow's growl was low, his hackles up, sniffing the air, sensing peril. Sarah's rage surged, her voice fierce. "We end this now, Lisa. For Emma, for Lily." Jake's radio crackled. Deputy Tom Brady outside, his voice tense. Jake, black pickup, no plates, parked nearby. They're here. Shadow's bark erupted sharp, his body lunging at the door as headlights pierced the rain. 3 pickups, Spectre's men, screeching to a halt. "Inside!" Jake yelled, shoving Sarah and Emma behind a table, pistol raised. Sarah clutched her daughter, her voice a sob. "Stay down, Emma!" The girl's small voice was fierce. "Shadow'll stop 'em, Mom!" The door splintered, 5 men in tactical gear storming in, rifles raised, their leader shouting, "The kid and the files, now!" Shadow charged, a black blur tackling the leader, his jaws disarming a rifle, pinning him to the floor. Jake fired, grazing a second man, his shot steady, but the others advanced, bullets shattering the trailer's walls. Lisa dove, tackling a third, zip-tying him, her voice raw. "Sarah, get Emma out." Emma's tears fell, her voice a scream. "Shadow, don't leave me!" The German shepherd spun, shielding her, his growl thunderous, blood dripping from a grazed flank, but his spirit fierce. Sarah grabbed a lamp, smashing it over a guard's head, her rage a mother's fire. "You're not touching her." Lisa's shots bought seconds, but more men flooded in, 7, tasers and crowbars, pinning them. Jake's arm bled, but he swung a chair, cracking a guard's knee. Shadow lunged, disarming a taser, protecting Emma, who clung to Sarah, whispering, "He's my superhero." Sarah's heart broke, Emma's trust in Shadow her anchor. "He is, baby," she choked, tears streaming. The twist landed like a gut punch. The leader's radio buzzed, Karen Wells' voice, cold and commanding. "Kill them all, but bring me Carter's girl." Sarah's blood froze, her voice a roar. "You'll never have her, Karen." But a new sound cut through. Boots from the trailer's rear, and a woman stepped in, red hair, 50, her coat pristine, a pistol aimed at Sarah. "You're a problem, Carter," Wells sneered, Spectre's partner in the flesh, her eyes glinting. "Your bank flagged me, ruined my cover. Emma's my leverage." Lisa's pistol snapped up, her voice lethal. "Drop it, Wells." But Wells laughed, her gun steady. "You're outmatched, Harper. My cartel pays better than your badge." Shadow's snarl was primal, his body leaping at Wells, distracting her, the shot grazing Jake's shoulder, blood spraying. Sarah dove, tackling Wells, her fists swinging, a mother's fury unleashed. "You're done!" Emma screamed, throwing her bunny, hitting Wells's arm, the gun clattering. Jake cuffed her, his voice grim. "It's over, Karen." But the twist deepened. A guard's phone buzzed, a new voice, male, sharp. "Wells failed." "Phantom takes over." Sarah's heart stopped, her voice trembling. "Phantom? Another one?" Shadow's growl turned feral, his nose at Wells's coat, pawing a hidden pocket. Lisa yanked out a microchip, buzzing with a live feed, not Emma, but a dozen more kids caged in a port overseas. "They're shipping them now," Lisa gasped, her voice raw, clutching the chip. Sarah's heart stopped, her voice a sob. "More kids? How many?" Emma clung to her, whispering, "Shadow will save them, right?" Sarah hugged her, her voice fierce. "He will, Emma. He's our miracle." Sirens roared, FBI cruisers storming the trailer, floodlights cutting the rain. Jake secured Wells, his face set, blood seeping from his shoulder. "We've got her, but Phantom's the real threat." Lisa grabbed the files, her voice fierce. "This names their ports, Asia, South America. We're close." Shadow's eyes met Sarah's, fierce, ready, a vow to protect Emma and Lily. Sarah's tears fell, her voice raw. "You kept us fighting, Shadow. You're our miracle." Jake's hand gripped her shoulder, his voice fierce despite the pain. "We're not done, Sarah. Emma's safe, Lily's out there, but we hunt Phantom." The trailer was secure, Wells cuffed, but Phantom's shadow loomed, Lily's life on the line. Sarah's fight, for her daughter, for justice, was a war now, and Shadow's instincts were their only guide. The Colorado dawn was a cold, jagged blade. The old mill on the outskirts of Denver, a decaying fortress of splintered wood and rusted machinery under a sky bruised with storm clouds. Sarah Carter sprinted through the mill's weed-choked lot, her blonde hair tangled, her sweater torn from the trailer safehouse ambush, the graze on her arm stinging with every step. Her heart pounded, Emma's green hoodie and red backpack vivid in her mind, the 8-year-old safe with feds in a new safehouse. But Sarah's fear for her daughter and Lily, recaptured by the trafficking network, fueled her. Shadow, the black German shepherd, led the charge, his scarred black muzzle low, his brown eyes slicing through the mist, his bandaged flank a testament to his fight. The retired canine's instincts had exposed Natalie Brooks, dismantled Dr. Karen Wells's operation, and uncovered a global child trafficking ring. But the microchip's feed of caged children and a new threat, Phantom, meant the battle was far from over. Officer Jake Nolan, 42, his dark hair damp, his police jacket bloodied, gripped his pistol, his shoulder wound seeping. Detective Lisa Harper, 38, her dark hair frayed, her FBI jacket ripped, clutched the stolen laptop, its files mapping Phantom's ports. The mill, a hub for Lily's transfer, loomed, its creaking timbers a pulse of dread. "North Wing, now!" Lisa hissed, her voice taut, pointing to a flickering light inside. "Guards, 6, armed. We get Lily. We get Phantom." Sarah's hands trembled, clutching a flashlight, her bank tellers resolve a fire despite the terror. "No kid gets left behind," she said, her voice fierce, Emma's courage. Shadow's my superhero, burning in her chest. Shadow's whine was urgent, his nose sniffing the damp air, guiding them through the lot's maze of crates and barrels. Jake's eyes locked on Sarah, his voice steady but sharp. "Shadow's our map. If Lily's in there, he'll find her. You good?" Sarah nodded, her throat tight. The bank charity meeting with Wells, her probing about Emma, haunting her. "For Emma, for Lily, I'm ready," she said, her voice trembling. Lisa's flashlight caught a guard's shadow, radio buzzing. "They're prepping a truck," she said, her grazed leg stiff but her face set. "Kids or evidence?" "We hit fast." Shadow's growl was low, his hackles up, slipping through a shattered window, Sarah and the others following, the mill's air thick with mold and despair. Inside, the mill was a labyrinth of rotting beams and conveyor belts, a faint sob echoing from a locked room. Shadow's bark was sharp, his body tensing at a steel door marked "Processing." Sarah's pulse spiked, her voice a whisper. "Lily?" Jake jimmied the lock, the sight inside gut-wrenching. Lily, 7, brunette, tied to a crate, her backpack at her feet, eyes wide with fear. "Please," she whimpered, stirring as Sarah rushed to her, Shadow guarding her, his whine desperate. "You're safe, Lily," Sarah said, cutting her ropes, tears streaming, Emma's face in her mind. Lisa's pistol covered the door, her voice fierce. "We're getting you out, kid." Jake grabbed a crate's contents, files, burner phones, a hard drive with encrypted drop schedules. "This buries Phantom," he said, bagging a phone, but Shadow's growl turned rabid, his nose pawing a hidden panel. Sarah yanked it open, her breath catching, a live feed, not just Lily, but Emma's safe house, her stuffed bunny on a bed, streamed to an unknown viewer. "They're still after her," Sarah screamed, her voice breaking, clutching Lily. Headlights roared outside, 5 black pickups screeching into the yard, Phantom's men spilling out, 10 rifles and tasers, their leader shouting, "The girl, the files, now!" Sarah dove behind a conveyor, shielding Lily, Shadow charging, tackling the leader, his jaws disarming a rifle, pinning him to the concrete. Jake fired, dropping a second man, his shots precise despite his bleeding shoulder, but the others advanced, bullets splintering wood. Lisa's leg bled, but she tackled a third, zip-tying him, her voice raw. "Sarah, get Lily to the exit." Sarah's rage erupted, her voice a roar. "You're not taking her." She swung a pipe, cracking a guard's arm, Shadow's snarl shielding Lily, who clung to her, whispering, "Is Emma okay?" Sarah's heart shattered. Emma's trust in Shadow, her anchor. "She's safe, sweetie," she choked, tears falling. Jake's radio crackled. "FBI backup 5 minutes out. Too slow." The leader, bloodied, laughed, his voice cold. "Phantom's bigger than Spectre. You're dead." The twist landed like a thunderbolt. A figure emerged from the shadows, a man, mid-50s, bald, in a tailored suit, pistol aimed at Sarah. "You're a nuisance, Carter," he sneered, his voice ice. Phantom himself, not a code name, but Victor Reese, a cartel financier tied to Wells's charity. "Emma's leverage, but your bank's audit ruined my network." Sarah's blood froze, her voice trembling. "You targeted my daughter for an audit?" Shadow's snarl was primal, his body leaping at Reese, distracting him, the shot grazing Lisa's arm, blood spraying. Sarah dove, tackling Reese, her fist swinging, a mother's fury unleashed. "You'll never touch her." Emma's bravery. Shadow knew. Fueled her, the pipe cracking his wrist, the gun clattering. Jake cuffed him, his voice grim. "You're done, Victor." But Reese's laugh was chilling, his eyes wild. "My boss is still out there, Nolan." "You've won nothing." Shadow's growl spiked, his nose at Reese's coat, pawing a hidden pocket. Lisa yanked out a microchip, buzzing with a new feed. 20 kids, caged, in a port in Thailand. "They're shipping them tonight," Lisa gasped, her voice raw. Sarah's heart stopped, her voice a sob. 20 more? How many?" Lily clung to her, whispering, "Shadow will save them, right?" Sarah hugged her, her voice fierce. "He will, Lily. He's our miracle." Sirens roared, FBI cruisers storming the mill, floodlights cutting the rain. Jake secured Reese, his face set, blood seeping from his shoulder. "We've got him, but the boss is free." Lisa grabbed the hard drive, her voice fierce. "This names their global drops. We're close." Shadow's eyes met Sarah's, fierce, ready, a vow to protect Emma and Lily. Sarah's tears fell, her voice raw. "You kept her safe, Shadow. You're our miracle." Lisa's hand gripped her shoulder, her voice fierce despite the pain. "We're not done, Sarah. Emma's safe, Lily's free, but we hunt the boss." The mill was secure, Lily safe, but the boss's shadow loomed. Emma still at risk. Sarah's fight, for her daughter, for justice, was a global war now, and Shadow's instincts were their only guide. The Colorado rain had slowed to a drizzle, the Port Haven docks now a secured stronghold under a gray dawn, their cranes and warehouses ringed by FBI barricades. Sarah Carter stood inside a cavernous dockside warehouse, her blonde hair pulled into a tight ponytail, her sweater stained with dried blood from the mill raid where they'd rescued Lily. Her heart raced, Emma's green hoodie and red backpack vivid in her mind, the 8-year-old safe with feds at a fortified safe house. But Sarah's fear for her daughter and the other children still caged overseas fueled her resolve. Shadow, the black German shepherd, pressed against her, his scarred black muzzle steady, his brown eyes scanning the shadows, his healed flank a testament to his courage. The retired canine's instincts had exposed Natalie Brooks, dismantled Dr. Karen Wells and Victor Reese's operations, and uncovered a global child trafficking network. But the microchip's feed of 20 caged children and the threat of Phantom's boss meant the fight was escalating. Officer Jake Nolan, 42, his dark hair damp, his police jacket patched, limped from his shoulder wound, pistol holstered. Detective Lisa Harper, 38, her dark hair loose, her FBI jacket torn, clutched the stolen hard drive, its files pinpointing Phantom's next drop. The warehouse, a nexus for the boss's operation, loomed, its humming generators a pulse of menace. Loading bays clear, Lisa whispered, her voice hoarse, pointing to a stack of crates marked Export. Guards, 7, armed. We get the kids, we get the boss. Sarah's hands trembled, clutching a flashlight, her bank teller's instincts battling dread. No more kids suffer, she said, her voice fierce. Emma's bravery. Shadow's my superhero. A fire in her chest. Shadow's whine was urgent, his nose sniffing the damp air, guiding them through the warehouse's maze of steel and concrete. Jake's eyes met Sarah's, his voice steady despite the pain. Shadow's our lead, or he'll find the cargo or the boss. You holding up? Sarah nodded, her throat tight, the bank audit that flagged Wells haunting her. For Emma, for Lily, I'm in, she said, her voice trembling. Lisa's flashlight caught a guard's shadow, radio buzzing. They're moving a shipment, she said, her grazed arm stiff but her face set. Kids or records. We hit hard. Shadow's growl was low, his hackles up, slipping through a side door, Sarah and the others following, the warehouse's air thick with oil and fear. Inside, the space was a labyrinth of crates and pallets, a faint cry echoing from a locked bay. Shadow's bark was sharp, his body tensing at a steel door labeled Freight. Sarah's pulse spiked, her voice a whisper. Kids? Jake pried it open, revealing a harrowing sight. 5 children, 6 to 10, tied in a corner, their backpacks scattered, eyes wide with terror. We're here! Sarah gasped, rushing forward, Shadow guarding her, his whine desperate. A girl, 9, with braids, whimpered, Please don't let them take us. Lisa's pistol covered the door, her voice fierce. You're safe, kids. We're getting you out. Jake grabbed a crate's contents, files, burner phones, a ledger with global drop points. This ends it, he said, bagging a phone, but Shadow's growl turned rabid, his nose pawing a hidden crate. Sarah yanked it open, her breath catching. A live feed, not just the children, but Emma's safe house, her red backpack on a chair, streamed to an unknown viewer. They're still after her, Sarah screamed, her voice breaking, clutching the girl. Headlights roared outside, 6 black pickups screeching into the bay, Phantom's men spilling out. 12, rifles and tasers, their leader shouting, The kids, the files now. Sarah dove behind a pallet, shielding the children, Shadow charging, tackling the leader, his jaws disarming a rifle, pinning him to the concrete. Jake fired, grazing a second man, his shots precise despite his bleeding shoulder, but the others advanced, bullets splintering crates. Lisa's arm bled, but she tackled a third, zip-tying him, her voice raw. Sarah, get the kids to the exit. Sarah's rage erupted, her voice a roar. You're not taking them. She swung a pipe, cracking a guard's wrist, Shadow's snarl shielding the children, who clung to her, the girl whispering, Is Emma your daughter? Sarah's heart shattered, Emma's trust in Shadow, her anchor. She's my world, she choked, tears falling. Jake's radio crackled. FBI backup, 4 minutes out, too slow. The leader, bloodied, laughed, his voice cold. Phantom's boss owns everything. You're dead. The twist landed like a thunderbolt. A figure stepped from the shadows, a woman, mid-40s, blonde, in a sleek suit, pistol aimed at Sarah. You're a pest, Carter, she sneered, her voice venomous. Not the boss, but Phantom's deputy, Ellen Crane, a corrupt city official tied to Wells's charity. Emma's bait, but your audit wrecked my empire. Sarah's blood froze, her voice trembling. You're a councilwoman? You betrayed us? Shadow's snarl was primal, his body leaping at Crane, distracting her, the shot grazing Jake's leg, blood spraying. Sarah dove, tackling Crane, her fists swinging, a mother's fury unleashed. You'll never touch her. Emma's bravery, Shadow knew, fueled her, the pipe cracking Crane's wrist, the gun clattering. Lisa cuffed her, her voice grim. You're done, Ellen. But Crane's laugh was chilling, her eyes wild. "The boss is global, Harper. You've won nothing." Shadow's growl spiked, his nose at Crane's coat, pawing a hidden pocket. Jake yanked out a microchip, buzzing with a new feed. 30 kids, caged in a port in Brazil. "They're shipping them tonight," Jake gasped, his voice raw. Sarah's heart stopped, her voice a sob. 30 more! "How many?" The girl clung to her, whispering, "Shadow will save them, right?" Sarah hugged her, her voice fierce. "He will, sweetheart. He's our miracle." Sirens roared, FBI cruisers storming the warehouse, floodlights cutting the rain. Jake secured Crane, his face set, blood seeping from his leg. "We've got her, but the boss is free." Lisa grabbed the ledger, her voice fierce. "This names their global network." "We're close." Shadow's eyes met Sarah's, fierce, ready, a vow to protect Emma and the children. Sarah's tears fell, her voice raw. "You kept us fighting, Shadow." "You're our miracle." Lisa's hand gripped her shoulder, her voice fierce despite the pain. "We're not done, Sarah. Emma's safe, the kids are free, but we hunt the boss." The warehouse was secure, the children safe, but the boss's shadow loomed, Emma still at risk. Sarah's fight, for her daughter, for justice, was a global war now, and Shadow's instincts were their only guide. The Colorado sun broke through a veil of morning clouds, casting a warm glow over Pine Valley's community center, where the town gathered for a ceremony celebrating courage in the wake of a nightmare. Sarah Carter stood on a low stage, her blonde hair neatly tied back, a clean sweater replacing the bloodied one from the dockside warehouse raid. Beside her, Emma Carter, 8, clutched her stuffed bunny, her green hoodie bright, her blonde pigtails bouncing as she waved to the crowd, her sparkly silver sneakers glinting. Shadow, the black German shepherd, sat proudly at Emma's side, his scarred black muzzle calm, his brown eyes vigilant, his healed flank a badge of his relentless fight. The retired canine's instincts had exposed Natalie Brooks, dismantled Dr. Karen Wells, Victor Reese, and Ellen Crane's operations, and rescued Lily and other children from a global child trafficking network. But the microchip's feed of 30 caged children in Brazil and Crane's warning, "The boss is global," hinted at a mastermind still free. Officer Jake Nolan, 42, his dark hair combed, his police jacket crisp, stood nearby, his shoulder wound bandaged, but his smile warm. Detective Lisa Harper, 38, her dark hair loose, her FBI jacket patched, reviewed case files, the hunt for the network's head intensifying. Sarah gripped the podium, her voice trembling but clear. "Shadow didn't just save my daughter, he saved us all," she said, eyes sweeping the crowd, Emma's hand in hers. His bark broke through lies, and Emma's courage taught us to listen to the truth. This is your story, too, about trusting the instincts that scream when something's wrong. The crowd cheered, cameras flashing, a banner overhead reading, "Shadow's Heroes." Sarah's throat tightened. The bank audit that sparked this ordeal, now a distant scar. But Emma's defiance, Shadow knew, burned bright. Shadow's whine was soft, his nose nudging Emma, who giggled, her fear fading. Emma took the mic, her small voice ringing. "Shadow's my best friend. He stopped the bad people." The German shepherd licked her hand, the crowd awing, many wiping tears. Sarah knelt, hugging her, her voice cracking. "You're my hero, Emma. You and Shadow made us unstoppable." Emma hugged Shadow, whispering, "You're the best dog ever." The air hummed with hope, Pine Valley united by a girl and her protector. Jake joined, holding a plaque, his voice rough but warm. Shadow's a certified canine legend and Emma's his heart. We're launching Shadow's Guardians, training dogs for schools because of them. He handed Emma the plaque, the crowd roaring, kids waving signs, Shadow saves. Sarah's chest swelled, but doubt lingered. "Jake, we got Crane, but the boss? Is Emma safe?" Shadow's tail flicked, his eyes alert, sensing her unease. Jake's smile was fierce. "We're close, Sarah." Shadow started this, and we'll finish it. Lisa approached, her badge glinting, her voice steady. Feds are raiding ports, Brazil, Thailand. The boss, codenamed Wraith, is a cartel kingpin tied to Wells' charity. "We've got leads." She nodded at Shadow, awe shining. "This dog's why Lily, Ethan, and others are home. He's changed everything." The crowd applauded, but Sarah's gaze drifted to Emma, her heart heavy, the feed of caged children, Wraith's shadow, Emma still a target. A familiar figure stepped forward, Lily, 7, brunette, holding her backpack, rescued twice by Shadow. "Emma, Shadow saved me," she said, voice bright, tossing a ball. Shadow caught it, bounding back, the crowd laughing, Lily's joy a beacon. Emma hugged her, her voice bubbly. "He saves everybody." Sarah's tears fell, her voice a whisper. "You're making miracles, Emma." Ethan, 8, dark-haired, joined, his backpack slung over one shoulder. "Shadow's like my dog was," he said, shy but strong. "He knew I needed him." The ceremony pulsed, kids petting Shadow, locals sharing stories, the fund soaring. Lisa pulled Sarah aside, her voice low. "We found a name, Marcus Tate, Wraith, ex-CIA, running the network from overseas. Feds are tracking him, but he's in Colorado, planning an escape." Sarah's heart sank, the twist chilling. Tate had been a guest speaker at her bank years ago, eyeing Emma. "He targeted her from the start," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Why us?" Jake's radio crackled. A Fed's update. Tate's signal pinged in Denver, planning a drop. "We're moving." Shadow's growl was faint, his nose twitching toward the crowd's edge. A man in a dark cap slipping away, unnoticed by most. Sarah's blood ran cold, her voice a whisper. "He's here, isn't he?" Emma clung to Shadow, her small voice fierce. "Shadow will find him, Mom, like he found Ms. Reed." The twist deepened. A volunteer, Tom Weaver, a school janitor, approached, offering Emma a cupcake, his smile too sharp. Shadow's bark erupted, sharp, his body lunging at Weaver, pinning him to the ground, snarling but controlled. Sarah's scream pierced the air, her voice fierce. "Get away from her!" Jake tackled Weaver, his pistol drawn, finding a hidden burner phone in his pocket, buzzing with a text. "Take Carter, girl." Wraith's orders. The crowd gasped, parents shielding kids, cameras rolling. Lisa cuffed Weaver, her face grim. "He's a mole, leaking to Tate." "We're closer." Emma's tears fell, her voice a sob. "Why do they keep coming, Mom?" Sarah hugged her, her voice breaking. "Because you're brave, Emma, and Shadow's braver." "They can't beat us." Shadow's whine was a vow, his eyes locked on Weaver, his instincts unerring. Jake's voice was fierce, despite his limp. "We've got Tate's trail, Sarah." Weaver's phone has his location, a Denver airstrip, tonight. Lisa's eyes blazed, her voice steady. "We end this, Sarah, for all of them." Sarah's resolve burned, her voice raw. "I'm coming, Lisa." "No one threatens my daughter." Emma hugged Shadow, her small voice fierce. "You'll save more kids, won't you, Shadow?" The German shepherd's eyes met hers, fierce, ready, a promise to protect. Jake handed Sarah a vest, his voice grim. "We hit the airstrip, catch Tate. Shadow's our guide." The crowd's cheers faded, but Sarah's fire, the spark Emma and Shadow had lit, was unstoppable. The twist landed harder. Weaver's phone buzzed again. A final text. Tate's not alone. The network's bigger than you know. Sarah's heart raced, the ledger heavy in Lisa's hands. Emma was safe, Lily and the children free, but Wraith's shadow loomed, a global empire. Sarah's fight for her daughter, for justice, was a race against time, and Shadow's instincts were their only weapon. The airstrip waited, Tate's escape imminent, and Sarah knew this battle would decide everything. The Colorado sunset bathed Pine Valley in a golden haze, the town's community center alive with the hum of celebration as families, locals, and news crews gathered to honor a triumph over darkness. Sarah Carter stood at a podium, her blonde hair loose, a fresh sweater replacing the bloodied one from the harrowing airstrip raid. Beside her, Emma Carter, 8, beamed, her green hoodie bright, her blonde pigtails tied with ribbons, her sparkly silver sneakers glinting as she clutched her stuffed bunny. Shadow, the black German shepherd, sat tall, his scarred black muzzle proud, his brown eyes soft but watchful, his healed flank a symbol of his relentless courage. The retired K-9's instincts had exposed Natalie Brooks, dismantled Dr. Karen Wells, Victor Reese, Ellen Crane, and Marcus Tate's child trafficking network, rescuing Lily, Ethan, and dozens of children worldwide. But the burner phone's final text, "The network's bigger than you know," hinted at a shadow still lurking. Officer Jake Nolan, 42, his dark hair neat, his police jacket polished, stood nearby, his shoulder wound healed. Detective Lisa Harper, 38, her dark hair free, her FBI jacket crisp, smiled from the sidelines, pride in her eyes. Sarah gripped the podium, her voice clear, trembling with emotion. "Shadow didn't just save my daughter, he saved our future," she said, eyes sweeping the crowd, Emma's hand in hers. His bark cut through lies, and Emma's courage taught us to trust the truth in our hearts. This is your story, too, about listening when instinct screams. The crowd roared, cameras flashing, a banner overhead reading Shadow's Legacy. Sarah's throat tightened, the bank audit that sparked this ordeal now a faded scar, but Emma's defiance, Shadow knew, shone bright. Shadow's whine was soft, his nose nudging Emma, who giggled, her fear a distant memory. Emma took the mic, her small voice ringing. "Shadow's my hero. He stopped the bad people and loves us." The German shepherd licked her hand, the crowd cheering, many wiping tears. Sarah knelt, hugging her, her voice cracking. "You're my miracle, Emma. You and Shadow made us unbreakable." Emma hugged Shadow, whispering, "You're the best dog ever." The air pulsed with hope. Pine Valley reborn through a girl and her protector. Jake stepped up, holding a medal, his voice warm. "Shadow's a K-9 legend, and Emma's his soul. We're launching Shadow's Guardians, training dogs for schools because of them." He pinned the medal on Shadow's collar, the crowd erupting, kids waving signs. "Shadow saves." Sarah's chest swelled, but a flicker of fear lingered. "Jake, we got Tate, but that text, is it really over?" Shadow's tail flicked, his eyes alert, sensing her unease. Jake's smile was fierce. "We're close, Sarah." "Shadow started this, and we'll keep fighting." Lisa joined, her badge glinting, her voice steady. "Feds are dismantling the network. Hundreds arrested. Kids coming home from Brazil, Thailand, beyond. Tate's files exposed Wraith's empire." She nodded at Shadow, awe shining. "This dog's why Lily, Ethan, and so many are safe. He's changed the world." The crowd applauded, but Sarah's gaze drifted to Emma, her heart heavy. The text's warning. A new shadow, Emma still a potential target. A familiar figure approached. Lily, 7, brunette, holding her backpack, her smile radiant. "Emma," Shadow saved me twice, she said, voice bright, tossing a ball. Shadow caught it, bounding back, the crowd laughing. Lily's joy infectious. Emma hugged her, her voice bubbly. He saves everybody. Ethan, 8, dark-haired, joined, his backpack slung over one shoulder. Shadow's like my dog was, he said, shy but strong. He knew I was scared. Sarah's tears fell, her voice a whisper. You're making miracles, Emma. The celebration buzzed. Kids petting Shadow, locals sharing stories, the fund soaring. Lisa pulled Sarah aside, her voice low. We traced the text, a new code name. Spectre, Tate's mentor, still free, tied to a global syndicate. He's vanished, but we're hunting. Sarah's heart sank, the twist chilling. Spectre had been a silent partner at her bank, years ago, watching Emma grow. He planned this from the start, she whispered, her voice trembling. Emma was always his goal. Jake's radio crackled. A Fed's update. Spectre's signal pinged in Seattle, planning a new drop. We're moving. Shadow's growl was faint, his nose twitching toward the crowd's edge. A woman in a dark scarf, slipping away, unnoticed by most. Sarah's blood ran cold, her voice a whisper. She's one of them, isn't she? Emma clung to Shadow, her small voice fierce. Shadow will find her, Mom, like he found Ms. Reed. The twist deepened. A volunteer, Clara Evans, approached, offering Emma a juice box, her smile too tight. Shadow's bark erupted sharp, his body lunging at Evans, pinning her to the ground, snarling but controlled. Sarah's scream pierced the air, her voice fierce. Get away from her! Lisa tackled Evans, her pistol drawn, finding a hidden microchip in her purse, buzzing with a text. Spectre's orders, take Carter girl. The crowd gasped, parents shielding kids, cameras rolling. Jake cuffed Evans, his face grim. She's a courier, feeding Spectre intel. We're closer. Emma's tears fell, her voice a sob. Why won't they stop, Mom? Sarah hugged her, her voice breaking. Because you're strong, Emma, and Shadow's stronger. They can't win. Shadow's whine was a vow, his eyes locked on Evans, his instincts unerring. Lisa's voice was fierce. We've got Spectre's trail, Sarah. Evans' chip has his next drop. Seattle port, tomorrow. Jake's eyes blazed, his voice steady. We end this, Sarah, for all of them. Sarah took the mic, her voice heartfelt. Shadow's story is about trust. Trusting the gut that screams danger, the courage that fights back. It's yours, too. What's your story with a loyal pet? She smiled at Emma, who tossed the ball, Shadow leaping, the crowd cheering. Join Shadow's guardians. Help us protect kids, one dog at a time. Jake raised a glass, his voice carrying. To Emma, Sarah, and Shadow, Pine Valley's heart. The crowd toasted, kids mobbing Shadow, Sarah's laughter mingling with Emma's. Lisa handed her a small sealed letter from Lily, her handwriting shaky. Shadow's my hero. Thank you, Emma. Sarah's tears fell, clutching it, Shadow's nose on her hand. You knew, boy, she whispered, kissing his head. The celebration faded, but Sarah's fire, the spark Emma and Shadow had lit, was eternal, a beacon for the battles ahead.